Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third webinar in the series put on by DD, the Department of Employment, Economic Development and Innovation. And tonight's topic is attracting new customers to your business. My name's Yvette Adams, and I'm from the Creative Collective, and we're very proud to be working with DD on this presentation series of webinars. And like I said, this is the third one along, and I'm very excited tonight to be delivering it on this topic because it's probably the topic I have the most experience with of all in the series. It's all related to marketing and bringing those customers to your business. So let's get into it. Here's a little bit of a rundown of what we will be going through tonight. First up, I'm just going to orientate you around the webinar technology to make sure you're familiar and can participate as much as you can. We're then going to revisit some of the key points from the workbook that you have hopefully been going through prior to the webinar. If you haven't, don't worry, you can still get a lot out of this session, but we will certainly be encouraging you to revisit it. Finally, we'll have a quick review, and then there will be the opportunity to ask questions at the very end. So I will encourage you to just hold your questions until the end. However, there will be lots of opportunities throughout the webinar to interact with us. Okay, the technology and getting the most out of it. If this is your first webinar, down the right-hand corner, you'll probably see a view that looks a little something like this. Now, if you want to ask a question, you need to click on the speech bubble little icon, and you can text us something via chat, and then direct it through to Jag Quimby, who's my moderator tonight and a fellow Creative Collective staff member. He will then queue you up and let you know if you're going to be opened up to get to ask a question. There's also, you'll just see here, if you watch my cursor, a little drop-down menu there. And if you want to see a video, because just in a moment I'm going to stream live and say hi, just click on there and see what your options are and select video from there too. Moving along. Here's another view of what you may see, and you'll notice here there's quite a few different icons along here in the spread section which we've highlighted. The first one I'd like you to look at is the hand. Now this is not school, I really want you to participate, and if I ask you a question and you'd like to raise your hand to indicate that that certainly applies to you, I'd like you to raise your hand. So just to show me you've got the hang of that, can you all raise your hands now, clicking on that button? That's very good, I see a few hands going up. Everyone go looking for your little icons. This is definitely not sit back and relax. We're going to get you working on this webinar. So start having a hunt around where you might find it. We'll just wait for a few more hands to come through. There we go. Very good. Okay, we'll move along to the next one. But on that point, I'd like you to remember to put your hand down if you've finished. So just click on that again and it'll actually remove your hand. So just make sure you do remove it once you've placed it up so we know that you no longer have a question. So it's a good way to get our attention that you have a question at the end or to just indicate, yes, that applies to me. Right, next one along in the series is the green tick. So if I ask you a yes or no question, I want you to indicate if the answer from your end is yes for the green tick. So for now, could you all show me your green ticks? Very good. It's looking like an excellent exam with lots of green ticks down my chart. You've still got a few more chances to find this if you haven't already. Keep looking around and using that drop down to expand your menu. Next one along is the red cross. If the answer is no to an item or that doesn't apply to you, I'd like you to indicate that when I ask for some response via a red cross. So show me a red cross. Some of you are already jumping the gun. You know how this works now. That's great to see. Very, very good. Now, this one here, if you feel I'm going too slowly, you would like me to speed up the presentation, you can click on that button and I will know how you're finding the pace of the presentation. So click on that one if you like to show me your little running person. Now, it's highly unlikely probably that you'll ask me to slow down because I will admit we have a lot to get through and we will be covering it at quite a pace because it's my wish for you to give as much information as I can tonight to make it very worthwhile for you having logged on. The next one along is though, just tell me to slow down. And sometimes I do get a bit excited and I do need to be slowed down. So great, some of you are showing me you know how to do that button. You're pros already at this. The last one along there is the emoticon suite. Now, if you've ever used MSN or Skype, you'll probably know emoticons. So there we go. We've got some of our people already showing their emoticons. Show me one that you like are feeling the way you're feeling tonight. If you've got a cup of tea, show me a cup of tea there. And look, at any time, feel free to show me how you're feeling. Have you learned something new? Are you surprised? If you've had a great idea as a result of something I've told you, how about showing me a little light bulb would be another way of expressing yourself. Okay, so hopefully we're all feeling pretty comfortable with that. And finally, down the bottom, you can send a message to Jag here in this area where I'm just showing you with my cursor again by typing in a text message there. And it could be I might ask you for a response via text, or if you'd just like to ask a question because perhaps you don't have a mic, and I know a few of you have already indicated that that is the case for you. So, are we all comfortable with that and ready to get going on this presentation? Show me a response. A tick or a smiley face or something. There we go. We're all set. That's looking really good. Okay, a quick introduction to me. My name's Adams, and I am an award-winning business owner, and I have actually started 4 businesses from scratch, some of which have since been sold. All very different businesses, from newspapers to T-shirts, selling T-shirts online, to an online education portal, and now a creative agency based on the Sunshine Coast of sunny Queensland. I work with startups right through to large corporates, both locally, nationally and internationally, and I have done a lot of helping businesses attract new business into their doors and helping them to convert and get the figures looking better from going through that process. In case it's relevant to any of you, I am a mother of 2, so if you're a parent, I know how that is. I juggle my workload around a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old. But I'm really passionate and I really love training and assisting others, and I hope you enjoy this learning format, which is a webinar. I find them completely lifestyle friendly, and I absolutely love delivering them. So just to do a quick live cross, I'm going to show you what I look like, but I'm not going to send it so long because it may take up some of your bandwidth. So I'm just going to say hello there. There I am. I am a live person here on Sunshine Coast. This is what I look like tonight. And could you just show me your hand if you can see that okay? You've managed to navigate to the video and successfully see it. Just had a few people in previous ones say they could see it. So you just need to expand on that icon area if you can't see the video. Remember this, I'll just click back on the presentation just to make sure if you want to see it. If you click here and then onto the video, you should be able to see it. Okay, I'm going to turn it off now. Like I said, for some people, they don't have a great internet connection to be doing stuff, so goodbye. I am still here, but I'll just talk to you now via audio. Okay, here's the topics we're going to talk about tonight. You'll notice that these don't look exactly like the ones in the workbook. That's because there is a huge amount of information in the workbook, and we simply couldn't cover it all tonight. So we've gone through and pulled out the topics we feel are really, really important to cover off. And we would really strongly encourage you to revisit the workbook and look at some of these topics in more depth in your own time. And the other thing we're going to do is to look at some of these topics from different angles as well. I'll try and impart some of my experience so that we can give you some different perspectives than perhaps are shared in the workbook as well. So does that sound good, everybody? Show me a tick if you're happy with that. Excellent. And just a reminder that if you've got a hand up, to put your hand down again. Great. I can see lots of action going on. Now, I'd like to know as well, you can put your hand up if you have attended a previous webinar, in particular the Improving Your Business webinar, where I did show this diagram. A couple of you did. That's excellent to see you coming back and maximising this fantastic opportunity of free webinars. For those of you who haven't, this diagram is very important when it comes to business. And in tonight's context, we're going to be looking at some of these earlier areas around here. Basically, as you'll see here, if you get potential customers and you convert them, they turn into new customers. Pretty simple concept. And if you have an existing customers and you retain them, they turn into retained customers. So we're going to be talking about that in a future webinar. We're going to be concentrating on this area here tonight. All up, though, they equal customer base. And then if you start working on initiatives to get their frequency and the value of the order and the amount they're paying, your turnover will go up. So some of us are in business and would like to increase our turnovers. That's one of our goals. Yep. I mentioned it is for a few of you. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood where this attracting business or marketing part fits into the model. The first thing you need to know about attracting people to your business is how to grow your data or customer database. So the first thing is it's a very simple concept. You need to generate more topics, which is also known as prospects, I should say, which is to lead generation, it's also known as. So I mean, all in all, this diagram is pretty simple, really. Get prospects, and then whatever your conversion rate is, and that equals your customers. Now, the thing I find when dealing with most business owners is that they get this. It makes complete sense to them. It's really a no-brainer. The hard part for them is getting these prospects in the first place. Is that the case for you out there? Interesting. Lots of tips coming on there. So we're going to share with you tonight how to get those prospects. But here's another interesting point I'd like to make on this, which is also gone into more detail in the workbook. Apart from getting the prospects, which like I said, I'll show you, the conversion rate is really key as to how many new customers you will get. Now, often when you talk to a business owner and you ask them, what is your conversion rate, they'll often indicate quite a high rate, sometimes 70%, 80%, and so on. Sometimes when you probe a bit further and say, how do you actually know that it's that conversion rate? That's just a hunch. That's just a feeling they have. And they may or may not be actually tracking it. How many of you are actually tracking your conversion rate? And you know for sure it's absolutely correct what your conversion rate is. That is, of the number of people you hear from to what number you're converting into paying clients. Lots of red crosses. It actually doesn't surprise me. And the thing is, when people say my conversion rate's about 80%, if they actually start tracking it and crunching those numbers, some of them are actually quite shocked to discover that the conversion rate is a lot lower. Okay. I want you to think about that and think about some ways that you can start tracking and converting more clients. Next up, let's take a look at the customer life cycle. Now, this is a great diagram from the workbook, and again, tonight we're focusing on the prospects, the shoppers, and the customers, and in these areas we'll be focusing on in the retaining your customers workbook and future webinars. So I liken this life cycle to biology. So if I can wind your clock back, your memory to biology classes at school, where you can kind of think of the prospect as the egg stage of, say, a butterfly life cycle. You know, they're not even kind of there yet. They're not even a thing. They're an egg. They haven't emerged. They're just this infantile process of the sales process. So think of it that way. I then think of the shopper as like a caterpillar. They're a little thing. They're crawling around. They're having a little nibble on this leaf and that, and they're checking out who they might want to do business with. They then turn into a cocoon, a chrysalis. They're a customer hanging out in one space, but they haven't really bloomed as such into the beautiful butterfly, which is a client, a regular paying person. So looking into those a little bit more, a prospect is someone who is in need and is new to you. They're interested in your product or services. Finally, when they actually buy, they put money where their mouth is. They've become a contact who has decided to buy at least once or make contact at least once. And customer is the one who buys at least once. And a client is when they're starting to do regular business from you. And obviously that is where the money is at, and that's what we've got to get to. And although we won't focus on them hugely tonight, an advocate is someone who's starting to recommend the business to others. So I guess you could think of that as a flutter of butterflies. They're going and getting their other friends and telling them to come along for the journey. And finally, a partner could probably be considered like a zoo or a butterfly farm because they're actually, you know, making a part your offer or what you are part of their business as well. So is that an interesting concept to some of you to try and get your head around the flow of those and how you need to push people through that life cycle? I've got a question for you now, and on these webinars we can do these cool things called polls. So I'm just going to open a poll, and you're going to see something come up, and it's asking you, what would your customers say about your business to others? So I want you to consider that and start to enter A, B, C, D, or E. What would people say if I was to ask you what your customers would say? Would all of your customers say that you're one of them, or have you really got no idea? You can see lots of you filling them in. Lots of you are saying most of our customers would say the thing, so that's good. But, you know, be really objective in this question. Be really tough on yourself. And if you've got no idea, I'd like you to consider finding out what they might say by actually asking them, by doing a feedback form, by doing a survey, by taking a poll, by doing some focus groups. There's a few different ideas there that perhaps you could go ahead and do and find out what they really think. Looks like most of you have answered that one. There's only a couple who haven't, one more who hasn't. So I'm actually going to close that down now, and then I can share those results with you, and you can see what other people out there. Now you can have a look at what everybody thinks. So this is the benefit of this webinar. You can actually get a good handle on other people all over Queensland. What are the issues for their business, and how do you compare to them? Okay, here's a really important concept when it comes to attracting people to your business. First up, you need to consider who your target market is, and we're going to take a closer look at that in a moment. But you need to identify who would possibly have a need for your products or services. Now, less of those you're actually going to reach out to and select the prospective customers by using appropriate marketing activities, because although there might be a lot of people who fit your target market mold, less of those are actually going to be interested and be appropriate for you. And then thirdly, you've got the leads. When they're turning into leads, they're much more valuable. That is names of people or contact details you have the contact details for. They haven't bought anything yet, but they're on your database. You can phone them, you can email them, and you can try and convert them. Now, less of those finally will become sales. So your job, again, is to get them into the funnel and to push them through here. But the first part of that process is absolutely identifying who your target market is. Before we go further into your target market, I'd like you to consider the 80-20 rule. Have any of you heard of this before? Show me a tick if you have. For those of you who haven't, basically 20% of your customer purchases will provide 80% of your business. Think about that. It's actually a really powerful statement. Consider your customer database, people who currently buy from you, and if they were, is that the case that 20% of them are 80% of your business? And perhaps it's the opposite factor. 80% of them only give you 20% of the business, yet you probably spend the most time on them. So what you need to do is actually classify your customers into an ABC list. Now, this has gone through in the workbook, but I thought I'd share a story of what we do as a company to help you understand how we've got the strategy into place. For us, our A's are our creme de la creme. They're the apex, and only the top of the top make this cut. For us, they're the best customers because they spend the most, they're the easiest to work with, they appreciate us, and maybe they're just nice people, because it's always nice to deal with nice people, isn't it? Who, give you good feedback, comments, and that kind of stuff. So have to think to yourself, if you were to classify all your customers, who would be the A's? Do certain people come to mind straight away? And have you ever lately rewarded them and treated them like a VIP or an A-class client? Do you send them a bottle of wine at Christmas? Do you take them out every now and then? Do you offer them special deals and things? Because you really should be. Because where would your business be if they were to leave you and walk away? For us as a company, they're important to us certainly, but they're not the biggest spenders. And sometimes there's issues, although not all the time. They're not always that organised, and they sometimes annoy us. But we also wouldn't have a business without them. However, they're not as important as the A's. They don't know this. We don't tell them this. This is a private thing that usually around the start of December each year we will do. And we will identify the A's and reward them with Christmas gifts and cards and things like that. And the B's might also get a card, but a smaller, lesser value gift to reflect that the relationship that we have. Now the C's, if you look at the workbook, they're the casual clients. They're people who maybe don't do a lot of business at all. Maybe it's only ever a one-off transaction even. And that's the definition you'll get in the workbook. But we actually go a step further there, and we call the C's our culls. Every year, and I'd encourage you to do this, if it's appropriate for your business, we'll actually look at who really is costing us a lot of time, not making us any money, and do we not really enjoy dealing with as a client. We'll actually find ways to extract ourselves from that relationship. How do we do that? Because it is a tricky one to navigate. Well, we may increase their rates. And, you have the right to put your rates up every year, and you do it in a professional manner in a way that explains why the rates are going up, etc. We may refer them to another company and say that perhaps they may be suited to working with somebody else. So there's a few strategies you can do, still maintain faith, the client will be none the wiser, but for a business and getting rid of some of that dead wood, let's say, that is holding you up, slowing you down, you can see really dramatic differences in your business from going through that exercise. So is that an exercise you might go ahead and do yourself? Okay, lots of you look like you might be, which is excellent. Okay, now I'm going to quickly run through this defining a target market, but I'd actually like to ask one of you who thinks you've got a really good handle on your target market to volunteer. So if any of you would like to share your target market with the rest of the group, could you please raise your hand? In the meantime, I'll just quickly take you through how to define your target market if you're not so clear on it. First up, you need to think about geography. If I was to say, who is your target market, do you know the answer to that question? Where are they? What is their location? For instance, today I met with a personal trainer. Now, he can only service a local target market. He works in an area called Currimundi, and it's not feasible for him to service Brisbane clients. We're not realistically going to drive an hour up to the Sunshine Coast just to have a personal training session with him. So he really has got probably 30-kilometre radius that he will service. People will travel about half an hour. For other people, their target market is the whole of Australia, or the whole of Queensland, or a whole is Japan and China, etc. So have a think about who your target market is. And the geography side of things, socio-economic, really think about who these people are. What is their gender? Is there an age? Is there an income? Occupation? The more specific you can be, the better you can tailor your marketing and get more of those types of people. And perhaps in going through the ABC exercise we've just gone through, think about the A's. What types of people are they? How could you get more of them? Because perhaps that would improve your business. Psychographic, that's an interesting one. There is a lot of psychology in marketing. Think about how do they think? What are their attitudes, values, and lifestyles? For instance, are they religious? Do they have a strong work ethic? Do they, what sort of things are important to them? Are they really into getting fit? Are they really into losing weight, etc.? I'm hoping I'm going to see a hand soon for a volunteer because I know one of you is really clear on your target market and would love to share it. So come on, volunteers, come forward. Two more, behavioural. Think about how they behave. Do they celebrate special occasions? What's their degree of loyalty? And then product related. What's their association with certain products? For instance, do they like beer and sport? Because if they do, maybe you can align with activities, marketing activities that those types of products feature in highly, like sports matches and things. Okay, so it's looking like we do have a volunteer. It's looking like we don't have one. I'll give you guys one last chance. Come on, who's got a target market? And I'm going to help you if you're not so sure, who would like to get a bit of help live here tonight. A one-on-one if you like. Lisa Cole, good on you. She got her hand up first. It's a quick draw game here. So, Lisa, you've just been unmuted. Lisa, could you tell me where you're from?
Gold Coast. I'm an accountant.
Okay. And who is your target market? Have you defined that, or would you like some help with it?
So just going through what you said, I've got the geography, so that's pretty much the Gold Coast and Brisbane.
Mm-hmm.
I have been a bit wishy-washy, and the only reason I put my hand up because it depends on the time of the year. So this time of the year it's generally individual.
Mm.
Then later on it's investment owners, and then later on it's business owners.
Okay, so yours is seasonal, and that's certainly an interesting way to look at because it depends on the tax cycle. So you may perhaps actually have different sets of target markets. So you may say my individuals are typically, and what would they be from there? Would they typically be, I'm imagining, working age?
Yes.
Okay, and then I imagine they would also be, would they be on white-collar jobs, or are they really across the board?
Across the board.
Okay. Would they tend to have tertiary education?
Not necessarily, no.
Would they tend to have families?
I've got singles and families.
Okay. So have a consideration then, just to narrow it down a bit quicker, because we can't spend too long on this tonight, of your A-class clients, the ones that you get the most money from, you love dealing with, etc., what we talked about before, what is your ideal client?
So generally they're business owners that want me to assist them in growing their businesses more profitably and minimising their tax.
Okay, well there you go, there's some real clarity coming along there. So let's say you were to focus on that because that's where the money's at for you, that's who you enjoy working with, that's the easiest way for your business to grow and do well. Where do they hang out? They're probably, are they at certain cafes? Do they belong to certain clubs or membership associations? Is there a Gold Coast, Chamber of Commerce or something like that?
There is, yes.
Are you a member of that? Do you do any marketing or networking through that?
No.
Do you think perhaps that could be a good idea to target more of target market?
Probably. I'm just not a fan of networking.
That's okay, and I accept that. And that's a good thing. I'm glad you said that because you've got to do marketing activities that are with that. What about online networking? Do you know of a thing called LinkedIn?
Yes, I have heard of it.
So do you know it's sort of a social network for business people where you can target and look up people via location and what type of roles they're in? You can pretty much get a resume of people online.
Yeah.
That could be useful to go looking on, couldn't it?
Yes.
So there's a little idea of a place you could go looking for your target market. It sounds like you've got a little bit more work to do, but I would encourage you, and as I would others who are listening in, to consider different sets of target markets. So we've only really talked about one for you tonight, Lisa, but also for each of those sets, going through these factors like geography, socioeconomic, psychographic, etc., and draw up a picture, whatever, do it visually, by cutting up magazine parts if you want, bullet points if you like, and trying to identify your target market. Because once you've done that, it becomes so much easier to then go and do the marketing activities because this determines exactly what you'll do to find them. Sound good?
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll just unmute you again now. Thanks for volunteering. Okay, unique sales proposition. That's something else as a business owner you've got to get really clear on if you want to attract new business. So it's also known as a USP. So if you hear people talking about a USP and you wonder what they're talking about, it's probably a unique sales proposition. So look, there's a few questions on the screen right now. I would like you to text me what your USP is. Even if you haven't really thought about that before, or you're not really sure, give it a crack. Try and answer one of those questions via text to us now. So there's what's the one thing that makes your business unique and distinct? Why should people buy from you and not your competitors? And do you promise great value, benefits or service? And can I just say on this one, please don't say great customer service because so many people say that to me and it's not really a USP. Everybody says they've got great customer service. If you're going to say something along those lines, how do you have better customer service? Why is it so much better? Are we getting some responses there, moderator? So you just got to find the little text space and here we go. Lisa's put in personal, professional and proactive. That's good. I mean, here's some ideas for USPs. Are you award-winning? Are you the cheapest? Are you, do you offer the free consult? Do you offer free delivery? Do you offer, do you have the most experience in the industry? We've got Cheryl O'Connor here saying, known for my good work, which is good to see. I've got a Marilyn Allen saying she has a spiritual acreage in the Whitsundays for sale. That's her USP. I don't know if that's a sales plug or a USP. A unique experience coming from Christine Barber. Melody Catling says our product's quite unique. It makes water from the air we breathe. Wow, that is unique. And, sometimes people have a really unique product and it sells itself. You almost don't need a USP because your product is exactly that. Right, we'll move on from there, but please do give further consideration to what your USP is post this webinar. Okay, here's a couple more really important points from the workbook, and these are maintenance of truth and referrals. Now, each of these I'd love to have the time to go into a little bit more, but so I do encourage you to go and look these up in the workbook. The first one is this moment of truth concept, and that is any point in time when the customer comes into contact with the business and forms an impression. Now, just looking over here at this little diagram, the circle, electricity, telephone, something like that, mobile bill, we all starting to think of some feelings associated with that experience. Show me a tick if you are. So you always have at the start a reason for the call. You're calling them because the money's wrong. At the moment here in this particular area, a lot of people having issues with their water bills. So maybe let's say that example, you ring up about that. First you've got to find the phone number. Then the call's answered by a receptionist and she puts you on hold and the salesperson is on another call, so you put on hold again. Then the salesperson doesn't know the answer and you put on hold. How is this all making you feel? Show me an emoticon. How does it make us feel? I'm sure there's an emoticon in there somewhere. It makes me feel like this. So I'm going to put one up. Anyone else? Yep, Katrina's got the question marks. I've got a great one here from Doreen. She's got a triangle with an expletive over her mouth. I'm sure we can all relate to that as well. So think about your business and, if you're the owner of your business, you manage your reputation and you need to manage that sales process. Have you ever called up and mystery shopped your staff before or had someone actually come in? And, while the cat's away, birds and mice all say, is the reception area clean? Do they get offered a refreshment? Were they rude, courteous with you? How long did they wait for if it's a waiting room scenario? So really put yourself in somebody else's shoes and give that some consideration because you must exceed the customer's expectations. Now, some customers have higher expectations than others. Some, I admit, you just cannot please. But others don't really have that high expectations. If you just communicate, if you just, let them get through and get their message across, they feel appreciated and listened to, they'll be very, very happy with your service. So the key here is to be proactive and for there are problems and you have to be reactive. So I hope that's useful, that concept. None of us want to be like those utility bills, do we, and giving that bad experience. So make sure that you're not. The other thing I wanted to touch on here is these referrals. So you really ideally need to recognise and reward customers who often come to you because think of that 20% again, they're bringing you 80% of your business. They need to be recognised and they need to be rewarded. So it could be, like I said, the percentage off next time they come. Maybe it's a free treatment if you say offered massage or personal training or something like that. Maybe it's a select group of them you take out for dinner or you introduce them to one another. You take some extra time to do some extra service for them. There's so many ways you can recognise and reward them. So right now, I bet lots of you have already got great rewarding and loyalty schemes in place. Would anyone like to volunteer, put up your hand and share your great referral program that you have? Just briefly tell us what you do and how well it works. Any hands, any volunteers? I'm sure some of you have something going on. However simple it may seem, if it works, it may just provide some inspiration. Okay, Melody's got her hand up, so we will unmute you. Melody, can you hear me? You may need to text me because I think you let us know earlier that you were going to not have a mic. So if you want to text us some details about your referral, I'll read it out to the others. Okay, I've got something from Katrina Watson saying, we offer customers who refer us 2 free movie tickets. Well, that sounds pretty good. I would definitely be referring to you if I could get 2 free movie tickets. Movies are expensive these days. Cheryl, she's put, what would you do in the case of bookkeeping? Well, that's an interesting one, Cheryl. The movie tickets might work. It doesn't have to be something related to what you do. It's just keeping a track of who refers business to you. Personally, I give out a bottle of wine, a branded bottle of wine, when someone refers business to me. So I only give it once they've converted. But once they do, I just send a quick note. Thank you for the conversion. Actually, there's a great saying which goes, the best compliment you can give us is a referral to to another person. And that's certainly a great one. I think just in the interest of time, to open it up to questions like Cheryl just had, we'll keep moving along. And any of you who decide to share your referral program ideas can in a moment. Right, I'm going to do one more poll. So we're just going to open up this now. So I want to ask you a question here. So you can fill in your answers while I talk about this. And that is technology. Now, we have this wonderful technology available to us now as business owners, and we would be mad not to use it to help us attract new business. So here's some ways that you can be doing, using technology to generate prospects or leads. One is you can get a memorable website address like the picture shows. I'm a big believer that every business these days should have a website and have a good address that you can say quickly on the phone and people will get it and remember it and spell it right. And it is hard because there's less and less of them available, but that's very, very important. So tick that box if you have that in place. The other one is that you need to collect email addresses, any opportunity. And I meet a lot of business owners. I drop that one on them and their face drops because they say, oh my gosh, I've been in business for 10 years and I've never collected one email. I just say, you know what? It can start today. From this day forward, you'll always do it, right? And they start doing it and they start to generally get some good results. So start doing that. Autoresponders, making sure that you send an autoresponse when people submit an inquiry. You can actually get series of autoresponders going on. Now, these are automated messages, and yes, there are systems. Technology takes care of this for you if you get this in place. So that's certainly a good way to help it generate more prospects or leads. And just Google autoresponder systems if you want to learn more about that one. Another one is having inquiry forms to collect contact info. I'm a big fan of that too. Having that on websites means that you don't get these random phone calls at times that aren't appropriate to you. You don't get random emails without a phone number to call back on and very little information of who the client is and what they want. By putting an inquiry form together, keep it short and simple, but collect these key details you do need to know. Like let's say you were a wedding planner, you might have on there when do you plan to get married, you've got any ideas of where you plan to marry, etc. And you can get a really qualified lead there. Search engine optimization is the practice of getting your website up high on the search engine. So that's certainly a good strategy for getting more business. As is search engine marketing, which is paying for clicks, like on pay-per-click. Facebook offers that, so does Google. So does Microsoft, which has recently merged with Bing for the pay-per-click stuff. And even eBay and LinkedIn offer pay-per-click strategies now too. So go searching for pay-per-click or search engine marketing solutions and find out more about that if that's something you'd like to look into. There's email marketing, certainly very cost-effective way of marketing. Now these days, we have social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. They're great ways to build business with some time and not necessarily any money unless you're paying someone to do it for you. And you can also send out online surveys and polls. And you know what, that list could be so much bigger, but there's some food for thought and things that you can possibly look into. I noticed not all of you have completed this poll. It'd be good to get a bit more feedback. So if a few of you can keep completing that, I'll move on slides. I'm very conscious of the time here, but there's a couple more slides I'd really like to show you. This one is what I call my sales marketing ice cream funnel. Now, this is a different infographic. It's not in the workbook. It's something that I actually created, and the reason I created it is to explain marketing mix to companies. So we talked about at the start how it's all very well and good. We understand we need inquiries, that we need to convert them, get our conversion rate up into leads. We then need to make sure they're engaged, opening our broadcasts, being interested in our special offers. We then need to get them referring. Finally, we get the sale, and ideally we get the repeat business. So it's similar to what we've learned in other slides and in the workbook, but just a different spin on it, and obviously push them down there and things will start happening. But like I said, business owners often say, but how do I get them there in the first place? Well, I started explaining that there's this concept. Put the ice cream on top of the cone or the funnel, and you've got the stuff that we've just been talking about. If you do SEO, if you do pay-per-click, and off that, like I said, there's Google, there's Yahoo, there's Census and other options there, it's kind of like turning on taps. So it's this sort of effect. Now, notice that some of these arrows are thick and some are thinner, etc. And this is what will happen. I can't say for you, PR will absolutely be the thing that makes all the difference to your business and how you attract customers to it. But my advice would be turn on some taps. And for some of you, it will basically produce drips or trickles. And for others, it will produce a stream. for others a river, and for others an avalanche. And that is a great thing. So basically, you need to start experimenting with your marketing mix, because if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. So does that sound like a good idea? Starting to explore other marketing avenues that perhaps we're not doing and seeing if we can get a good result with some of them? Excellent. Now, finally, this is a very elaborate-looking infographic as well, but it's actually very simple. This is also not in the workbook, but I basically want to get you to consider doing this for your business. So I'm sharing here our IP. This is our company, the Creative Collector's way of having a bulletproof conversion system. So we've basically sat down and strategized and refined this process repeatedly, where firstly our leads come from. So we've given it some thought, and for us we've worked out events, offline marketing, word of mouth media, online marketing and websites are the types of things that give us a prospective client. We then know that they can take one of three options. They will either ask for work to be done immediately, they will contact us by phone or email and make an appointment to come see us, or they'll log onto our website and fill in a web form. Then these options happen, and at this point, all the yellows, they're still a lead. They haven't converted. They then request an estimate from us, or they will pay us to come and see us, or they'll get information and think about it. We all heard that one before. Or that it's been identified that the client's not ideal or not a service we provide, and we may refer them. So from there, we place them on the database, and from there, we may give them an estimate. So, look, you can see how these all start flowing in, and I won't go into it completely, but you can take this and you can amend it to suit your business. I'm obviously in the service area, so this may not be appropriate for you if you do products, but just think about it, each step, how yours varies slightly, and if this, then what. So, for instance, where would it go? When we're coming around to here, if they do go ahead, we set them up in a project management system, we complete it, we get the final invoice, the payment in, we follow it up if we need to, then they get delivered the job, and then we've got here goes on to us as a successful business owner. We regularly send them stuff to hope that they will refer us to other people, and that's where the referral thing kicks in as well that we were talking about before. So is that a useful graphic to you? Can you all go away and think about your own bulletproof conversion system? Okay, finally, all of the stuff is not much good to you unless you do something with it. So I like including little Bruce Lee, who's man all about action, on my action plan slides. And basically, I want to tell you that an action plan, if you haven't heard of it, is a document that breaks down your business goals into small projects or tasks so you can actually implement them and start making some changes to go ahead. The success of your business basically relies on you prioritizing them and actually getting them in place. So here's some suggested actions and what you can do with them. Firstly, I'm just going to pull up action plan that I replicated from the book. It looks like this. So let's say from tonight, you say, I need a bulletproof conversion system. There we go. Like the one in the webinar, if I like that idea. Who's going to do it? Me. Or maybe I have a team member I can delegate it to. When's the start date? Tomorrow. I'm really jazzed about that. I think it'll make a really big difference. Completion date, I'm going to give myself a week. So if it's the 18th today, it'll be completed within the week. Resources needed, I might say I need that slide to amend to my own. And estimates and costs, free. Separately to that, I might go through the task of implementing, there's another option perhaps, just giving you guys an idea, implementing conversion tracking. So I would suggest all of you need to do that, because there are quite a few of you with crosses who aren't doing that. And you might discuss that with the entire team. You might start it from the team meeting, which you might be holding shortly, and you might aim to finish it within the month. So there's some ideas on how to make that action plan work for you, and that there is an action plan slide in your workbook. I'm just going to double check what page it is for you. Here it is here. So we can go to action plan. It's right at the end, basically. Oh, now I've hit it and it's jumping ahead. Here we go. Here it is right there on page 52. So it looks like that. I just happened to put it in Word for you. Okay. Just to recap on what we've gone through tonight already, we've looked at converting the potential customers to sales, targeting prospects and how the number of prospects and conversion rate affects your bottom line. We've looked at moments of truth and referrals and creating that bulletproof conversion system. We've looked at the customer life cycle, remembering the biology, butterfly analogy, and we've looked at the USP. What is your USP? Get clear on that. If you don't have it, put it in your action plan. Looking at your sales funnel, looking at technology. If you need to look at some of those technologies I talked about, put them in your action plan as well. Allocate time to do research. And finally, you need to get an action plan in place. So I hope that was useful. So right now, I'll open it up to questions. Thanks for listening in tonight. And does anyone have any questions on the topics we've covered so far, or indeed anything related to business I hopefully can help you with? Just raise your hand if you'd like to ask a question or text it in. Gee, you're a quiet bunch tonight. I've usually got hands going all over the show. Don't be shy, because usually once no question's a silly question. Here we go. We've got Marilyn. Moderator, will you unmute her or will I? Okay, Marilyn, where are you calling from? Can you hear me, Marilyn? I can't actually get any sound from you, Marilyn, so perhaps if you'd like to contribute, you could text me your question and we can answer that in that way. Anybody else like to raise their hand like Marilyn bravely did? I'm not scary, so go on ahead. Here we go. Melody. I don't think you've got sound either though, Melody. Can you hear me, Melody? Can you text me your questions? Have any questions coming through via text? Marilyn's going to try again. Thanks for bearing with us, everyone else. Can you hear me, Marilyn? Just make sure you've got a mic and it's turned up. Oh, she's showing her emoticon. Don't worry about it, Marilyn. Just send me a text and I can answer it privately if you like. I'd love to know your question, though. Anybody else like to ask a question tonight? Anything related to marketing? Other issues they're experiencing in their business? Speak now, forever hold your peace, because we'll be wrapping it up in just a second. Lisa has got a question. Lisa, we did manage to connect to you last time. Are you there again?
Yeah, can you hear me there?
Sure can.
We've been typing a couple of messages to you, but have had no reply, so we have typed a few.
Okay. I've got one from you, Lisa, saying, were we able to get the slides that are not in the workbook? Is that the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm sure we can arrange something there. Yeah, we'll speak to Dee Dee about that. There's also a recording of this very webinar, so you can, it'll be made available via Dee Dee as well, and you could take another look through the webinar. So we'll work something out there and perhaps email you post this webinar. Sound good?
Thank you. Thanks.
You're welcome. We'll just meet you again. I've got Cheryl here saying, what do you think is the best way to advertise a bookkeeping business? Well, gosh, that's a big question. I'd really like to know first what your business objectives are, what your target market is, but let's just, for me, make wild presumptions right now and presume that the people who need their books done, possibly because they're busy people. I think you certainly should have a website. I think you should certainly be marketing at times. It would be seasonal again when people are looking to get their tax done. I think you need to get clear on the types of people you like working with. Like, do you like working with home-based businesses? Perhaps they are too busy. Do you like working with maybe working mums who need to manage the accounts for the family and don't have time? There's a few ideas anyway. So first identify that target market and then think of where those people hang out. But, you know, social media would be a good way to build your database, start with your network and grow it from there. LinkedIn could also be a good place because they're businesses who possibly need bookkeeping solutions. So I imagine you'd need to target small businesses who don't have their own internal financial person. I'll take one more question. I've got an Alana Scott saying, should you always ask people who give you their business card if you can add them to your database? What is the correct protocol? Well, when it comes to spam, there's a few things you need to be aware of. There's a website called acma.gov.au, which is the governing body which talks about the Spam Act 2003. So basically, if someone hands you their business card, they're effectively giving you their permission to contact them in any way listed on the business card. So, yes, I would feel quite comfortable having been given a business card by someone to add them to my database. The other rule is you need to identify. So any outgoing communications, you need to make sure it clearly says who you are. And you also need to, thirdly, give them the option to unsubscribe. So make sure that that is happening and it's an automated process and you will be well within the law. Final question I've got here is Alan Birch. I've not received my workbook yet. Please advise. Just understand that it's on the same page that you joined tonight. It's on the link in the email. It's quite far down the email at the bottom. But if you need us to resend it to you for some reason, you can contact the number at the moment. Okay, I'm going to be really generous and do one last question. This is Leanne Orchard. She's saying, we've been fortunate enough to get a great web address for a new branch of our business. So far, we have a billboard. Do you have any other suggestions as to how we can get the address known? Great question. Look, web addresses should be featured everywhere prominently. So they should be on your business card. I always like making them really, really big on the business card. They should be on your email signature, which is a really passive form. Think of all the emails you send out in a day. They should be on your social media website, and I think everybody should be having a crack at social media these days. Very, very fast-growing area and very effective. Other ways for websites, let's see. Just general marketing, marketing materials, advertising. Pay-per-click is an excellent way to get your website known and get people coming into specific pages. I particularly like that because you can track down to the lead and the sense how effective it's being and what key messages are working, and that can really lead to how you refine the rest of your marketing strategy. So, and e-marketing, of course, as well, featuring your website and links back to your site, trying to remind them that you're there as well. So thanks for all your great questions tonight. Some really good ones there. Just to wrap up, I wanted to let you know that if you've enjoyed tonight, there are more opportunities to engage in these wonderful free webinars put on by Dee Dee. So here's a list of the upcoming ones. Considering a business, that's actually the second time we've run that one. Happening next week at lunchtime, 12:30. So if you can escape from work and that's something you'd like to know more about, great for businesses in their early stages, jump on that one. We've got a retaining your profitable customers, which is a great lead-on one from this particular webinar happening on September 22nd. So book that in. Also a lunchtime one, and I'll show you how to register in a moment. It's actually on this website. Actually, you've all done it. It's all on that website, and go to webinars, and away you go. Finances. If finance is an issue for your business, that is a couple of different ones you might like to jump on. We're very excited to have a financial expert joining us on both of those webinars, and she'll be available to answer any technical questions because I am by no means an accountant. However, I will be facilitating those on those dates, October 20 and November 1. Finally, if you've got friends you think that have really benefited from tonight's webinar, you can tell them, it's not for a while, I realise, but there is another one of these taking place next year in March. So give them that date and tell them to lock it away. All free, and all available on that website. Finally, if anything else you want to know about to support you in your business, I need to encourage you to go to this website. There are so many great resources on there. There's also a phone number. Should you ever have a question related to business, need help with anything, you can also go there to look it up. And I'll just quickly show you one feature of this website here, which is if I want to find workshops related to the topics I've done, because I need more on marketing, I need more on finance. Here I am on the Dee Dee website, and you can actually go in here and select information, like gain more information about my business, let's say on planning. So you can see a huge list of topics, and then click next. And here we go, is a bunch of upcoming topics. And you can click on these and say, oh right, this one is in Southport. Great, I'm in the Gold Coast. I'll come along to that one. And you can click here to register. Very low cost, only $44. So lots and lots of workshops all over the country, or all over Queensland, I should say. Here's one in Maroochydore, Spring Hill, etc. So go and have a look on that website, see if there's anything else that could support your business on there. Now, we do need your feedback. It is a requirement for tonight's webinar. Dan's just texting me now, letting you know that there's a link. It should only take you a few moments to fill out. So you can please take the time to let us know if you enjoyed it and what parts you enjoyed. It's a quick tip and flick. Jump on that link now, and if you could fill it in, we'd really, really appreciate it. So thanks very much for joining us on tonight's webinar. We do hope you'll join us on other webinars. And like I said, the slides and the webinar will be made available post the event. Just look out for emails from Dee Dee. Thanks very much, and